Hey there everybody, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with another layout for the Simple Stories creative team, and again I'm using the Love and Adore collection. I think this paper is so pretty and I love the design on it. I love the colors and I love the idea of the diagonal stripes. And I think this is a genius design for a pattern paper because it almost makes it obvious of where you should put your pictures. And so if you do that, then all you really have left to do is embellish. And you could do whatever you want. You could cut this paper up, there's really no rules. But to me, when I saw it, I thought, I've got to use two photos and I want to angle them along that line. And I think that that just makes the neatest look. And what I'm going to do is go through all the bits and pieces, some of the chipboard, and pick out a lot of the florals. Since the lower left-hand corner already has a huge floral cluster, I thought, well, the right side is going to need some flowers too. And so I'm going to go with some of the smaller ones that I'm finding in the die cuts and one of the pieces from the chipboard there. So now that I have my idea of how this page is pretty much going to look, I want to add some watercolor to my background. But first I need to add some gesso, mainly because this is just your basic pattern paper. It's not very thick. And so if I was going to add a lot of liquid to it, it would probably warp really bad and it would probably rip and tear. And so the gesso is going to protect the paper, kind of stiffen it up a little bit, and it's also going to help to fade out some of those stripes right around where my pictures are going to go. And so I've got all that dry. I love how that looks. And now I want to jazz up the background here. So I pulled out my Heidi Swapp Color Shine in Butter. I love this yellow. It's very soft. It matches the yellow in this collection perfectly. And I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to use the packaging technique here just to get some watercolor splotches going on. And you know where my photos are going to go. And so some of this is going to get covered up. And my goal, which is usually a lot of the times in a lot of cases when I'm doing my scrapbook pages, is I like to have the watercolor sort of peeking out from behind everything. So you never see the entire background of all that mixed media, but it's hard to tell exactly where to place it. So I just kind of start going at it, and I know exactly, where the edges of the photos are going to be, so I want to make sure I definitely hit those areas. So I'm using some of the yellow, I'm going to use some of the blue, and this is some shimmers. I love mixing and matching mixed media products. So I want some right above the photos and right below, sort of like the pictures are just sitting in, all this pretty watercolor behind it. This is a pink shimmers. It's called Pink Stilettos, and I'm just going to add a little bit of pink because this layout is going to have a lot of pink as it is, because it's a Valentine's lovey type layout or collection, and there's going to be a lot of pink in it. So I wanted to bring out more of the blues and the yellows. So I'm going to add a little bit of layering behind my pictures. I'm going to use some tissue paper there, and I don't know why I like that. I just do. I think it just adds a nice little subtle border around the pictures, and it's kind of messy and uneven, and I like that. And a lot of people ask me, if the tissue paper is acid free. I have no idea. I have not given acid free a second thought in a long time. So I do this for the creative aspect of it as well as the memory keeping, but I don't really see tissue paper being a problem. It's cheap and I like to use it, so I use it, and that's just the way it is. I'm going to add some foam behind there. I am going to go through the 6x6 paper pad here and add a little bit of two different shades of pink. I've got some bright pink, some lighter pink, and it's very subtle, so it's not going to be pink overload. But since I've got blue and yellow in the background, I thought the pink outline behind the pictures would pop. So now I'm going to work on the background a little bit more. I'm going to add in some of my gelatos here just to kind of brighten up that yellow a little bit. I'm just smudging it on. If you've never used gelatos, they are fun. It's almost like a tube of lipstick. You twist the bottom and it comes out a little bit, and you just smudge it on just like you would a crayon, but it kind of is the consistency of lipstick, and it smudges really nicely on top of gesso. So now I'm going to come back in and start working with the die cuts, and I'm going to try to decide where I want to put all of these flowers, because the lower left hand corner is pretty much done. I don't feel like I need to do a lot there. Those big flowers are doing a great job all by themselves. So I'm going to come in with the smaller flowers and maybe add a stem of leaves here or there. And I know I said this in my previous video using the same collection for Simple Stories, that I think this is probably my favorite collection that they've done. It was just very easy for me to make these pages. I don't know if it was because, you know, the papers are just perfect and right up my alley, or if it's the colors, or just, I don't know. I love creating lovey-dovey pages, and they came together pretty quickly, and it was a lot of fun. So I definitely want to keep using this collection and make some more fun lovey-dovey pages. So I've got a You Are My Sweetheart little piece above the pictures there, and that's a die cut. You and Me sticker, and I'm going to build a little vertical cluster above my pictures there. I'm going to make sure everything is kind of stuck down for the time being, because I don't want it to move, because once I get it all laid out, I feel like if I moved it all again, then I would never get it back the way I wanted it. So I'm going to make sure it's at least stuck down with my ATG, so if I do want to move it, I can. And a lot of times I go back and forth with my ATG and my quick dry adhesive glue, because it just depends on if I want something to be there temporarily and I may move it, I use the tape. But if I know it's going there and it's not going to move, then I'll use the glue. So I'm doing some machine stitching here. I wanted to make a little crisp line going diagonal there underneath that pink line on the paper, and I'm just using some black thread, and I wanted to do kind of a messy zigzag. Or when I say zigzag, I mean back and forth. That's not zigzag, that's a straight stitch, but I'm going back and forth and just trying to create you know, something uneven. Since everything on this layout is on the perfect diagonal, I wanted something there to make it kind of look a little messy, and so I added the black stitching, and I like the way that stands out, but you can still see the pink line right under the pictures. So I'm going to start to glue things down. I am going to add some more thread. This time I'm going to tangle it up and add it right underneath the pictures there. And I think black mixed in with all these colors is so striking, and it's so dramatic, but yet it just really pops, you know, and I think the black and white pictures really pop against all of the colors and the black and white. I couldn't get that bit of thread to look the way I wanted it, so I had to mess with it a lot. And I did one of the die cuts, the one I just stuck down under the picture there, is actually one big one, and I cut it in half. And so I used the top half at the top and the bottom half at the bottom. So that's a great way to stretch your embellishments if you're only going to see, you know, if you're going to layer it under something or tuck it under the pictures or something like I did here, you're only going to see half of it. So why waste the other half? Cut it in half and tuck the other half somewhere else. So I'm loving how this is looking. I just, like I said before, it just came together so easily because of the design, and I think it's coming together really nicely. I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue splatters. You know, my backgrounds are never done. I go back and forth a lot. But once you start adding everything down, stuff gets covered up, and so I want to make sure that I can still see the watercolor work. Do the same thing with the butter. And then I decided that I needed a little more blue up at the top, and so I'm just going to squirt some right onto some packaging and use my brush and my finger and kind of just add a little bit more watercolor coming out from behind there. And I felt like I couldn't do the packaging technique right there because it was so close to all the embellishments, and it would just get all over them and it would make a mess. So I like how that looks. I got a little more blue coming up at the top. I'll add a little more to the bottom there, but I love how it's just kind of, you know, it's very subtle. it's bright and it stands out, but yet it's subtle and it doesn't take away from the pictures. It just sort of adds some more color and interest. Now these are the 4x6 sticker sheets. I'm going to use several things from those. I love this XO. It's like an ombre from light to dark stripes of pink. So many things to choose from. I love that these collections are so big, and you get cardstock stickers, you get paper stickers, you get chipboard, you get die cuts. There's just so much to choose from. And there's always little phrase stickers and little symbols and numbers and words. Love these scripty words. I'm just gonna talk, when I talked about the vertical cluster that I was going to create, this is what I'm doing up at the top there. I'm going to continue to add in little phrases, and I'm going to add some hearts here momentarily. And that little sticker says smitten. So many phrases on this little sticker sheet. I couldn't decide. There were so many that were appropriate for this layout, but I finally just chose a few. And I love that there are these cute little open hearts. There's closed hearts, but there's also open hearts. So for my title, you know, I wanted to try to not use my cameo. I wanted to utilize the stickers that's in the collection. And so I went for the 4x6 stickers. You get a little 4x6 stickers sheet of black alphas. And then these are the ones from the big combo cardstock sticker sheet. And so I decided to title this, He's My Person. Because he is. We're both total dorks, and we have such a great time just being silly and ridiculous around each other, and I don't think any other person would be able to handle my weirdness because we're equally weird, and I love that about us. So yeah, he's my person. Thought that was appropriate, and so I tried to angle it as best I could to keep everything going in the diagonal, and I even bring my ruler in, but in the end I still think it's kind of crooked. But that's okay. It's not that noticeable. And, you know, so what if it's crooked? So I add another little flower die cut underneath that, just to kind of add a little something down there. I didn't want to just leave it bare. And then for my journaling, I thought, where am I going to write it? I can't write on top of this black and white stripe. And so I'm going to add some of these labels, and I'm going to layer them at the bottom, and that's eventually where I'm going to add my journaling. So I did add some black color shine. I also added the date, but there's my layout. I did a little bit of hand stitching. No, that's not hand stitching. Machine stitching through my title, but I love how this turned out. I love the pictures. They just make me smile, and I love this collection. I love how it turned out. I just think it's just a fun line, and I hope you guys will check it out and make some lovey-dovey pages with it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a great day.